These teams they've met 5 times in the Final Four. That's the most ever by 2. No other 2 teams have ever met more than 3 times in the Final Four / the title game. They met in the mid-50s in the only 3 overtime game ever in Final Four history. Carolina won that, beat Wilt Chamberlain, and had an undefeated season, considered one of the best games in NCAA tournament history. You want to guess the final score of that triple overtime game, GP? Way back in 1957?
I know the score. Triple overtime?
Triple overtime.
It was 79-74.
How about a little 54-53 action and no one scored in the second overtime?
Thanks a lot, Trevor Keels.
You're out of your mind right now? Okay, so jeez. So yes, they've met 7 times in the tournament. Trivia time.
Okay.
Trivia time. It's been a minute here. Who are the only 2 teams that have ever met more frequently in the NCAA tournament, and neither of them are Carolina or Kansas? Trivia time for the viewers as well. Try not to check the chat.
Kentucky and St. Peter's.
Ooh, you are half there, my man. St. Peter's and yeah.
Kentucky. It's Kentucky and UCLA.
It is Kentucky. I'm gonna give it 15 more seconds here in the chat, see if someone gets it. It is not Kentucky and UCLA, and it is not Kentucky against a blue blood, although you might figure teams that are top 9, top 10 all time in wins and making the tournament, that might be it. I'm seeing Kentucky, Michigan State, or Duke, Kentucky. It's not that. In fact, the answer is Kentucky against the Marquette Golden Eagles. They have met 10 times. By comparison, UNC and Kansas tie for second all time with 7 meetings. So it's going to be a long, long time before we ever see 2 teams ever meet more frequently in the NCAA tournament, if ever, than Kentucky and Marquette. But yeah, Kansas and UNC, they are intertwined. It's not just the Roy factor we talked about. Dean Smith, before he was Dean Smith, he played at Kansas, won a national title. Larry Brown.
Who was he?
What?
Who was he? He wasn't Dean Smith yet?
That's a good point.
He was still Dean Smith.
That's actually I got nothing for you there.
What a lot of people don't realize is that Dean
you
Smith
got me. Oh my God! I'm on like 3 hours. This is. We're wobbling on the tracks right now, but he actually was Dean Smith before he was.
Yeah, I just want to set the record straight. I don't want people thinking Dean Smith used to be.
You know what I meant, and yet you're absolutely right. He was Dean Smith the whole time. It's absolutely correct.
Before he was Dean Smith, he was Sean Combs.
I say Trevor Keels.
Sean Combs. He was Sean Combs, and then he was Dean Smith, and
he's Dick Harp,
and then he was Dick Harp, and then he was Diddy.
Dick Harp was the coach in the triple overtime game. He coached Wilt Chamberlain that Kansas lost. These teams on this stage, other than that one, Kansas won in 91. Hubert Davis talked earlier on Sunday. Hubert Davis said that he watched that Final Four loss from 91 when he played. He watched it every single year until he won a title on staff in 2017 when Carolina beat Gonzaga. And sports fans will relate to this. He didn't explain exactly why he absolutely had to watch it, but he just needed to watch it because he felt like maybe it would end differently. Kind of an interesting peek into
that's
his
weird.
It's a peek into the psychosis. You've never watched something you've seen before, and like the very tiny part of you is like, maybe this will go different this time.
No, dude. Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer are both hurt. I always assume things are gonna go exactly as they always go.
Dude, the chat is. You telling me it was Dean Smith the whole time? Yes. Yes, in fact, that is the case. Oh, that's a classic. So then Carolina returned it in 93. They won in the Final Four before they played Michigan in the title game. They beat Kansas in 93. And then in 08, GP was there. All 4 1 seeds. Kansas beat Carolina in 08 in the national semifinal. So this is the first title game matchup between these two since 57. You've got the Dean factor. You've got the Roy factor. Larry Brown played at Carolina for Dean Smith and then coached Kansas to a national championship. Little smaller stakes. Brad Frederick, a longtime Carolina assistant, his dad was a very famous former athletic director at Kansas as well. So there's two of the greatest programs ever. There's just a lot that, kind of links them And with that as backdrop, and the Roy stuff, I think, is just awesome. With that as backdrop, Kansas here, in the title game for the 10th time. Carolina's here for the 12th time. Carolina's 2-0 in the Superdome. I think Jordan showing up, 40-year anniversary. He wasn't there Saturday. A lot of buzz that he would be, but I gotta figure he's showing up here. I gotta figure that's the case. But we'll have to actually wait and see on it. I think there's a chance, GP. UNC trying to become the second 8 seed to ever win a national title. Bill Self trying to become the first head coach of Kansas to win multiple NCAA tournament championships. It's not guaranteed to be really, really, really good. And I know the hype isn't as high as if Duke was there, but my whole point in the column was the history lesson. And then don't think that it can't. New Orleans has got a voodoo to it, man. Title games in New Orleans, they're usually awesome. Maybe we're going to get that again on Monday night.
I hope so. I do think it'll be a good game. North Carolina, they keep being called an 8 seed because they are. I mean, that's what.
But they ain't Villanova.
No, this team. When we get to the offseason and things slow down a little bit, I'm going to teach you how to go to barttorvik.com and select date. No, I'm going to. It won't take long.
I got so many gadgets on Torvik you don't even know about yet. You're not even ready for that.
You know how to do other things besides just pick dates?
You don't even know.
Don't know. I don't even know.
You're like a child wandering into a theater.
I'm like that guy that found his first warp zone, and I'm bragging about it. You know all the warp zones.
That's a reference I take right there.
No, North Carolina's been one of the best teams in the country for like 6 weeks. The idea that this is a plucky 8 seed. This is a preseason top 20 team with multiple 5-star prospects and multiple future NBA players. And they're really, really good. They're an 8 seed because they sucked in November and December and January. So they're an 8 seed. But for more than 6 weeks now, they've been one of the best teams in the country. So, facts are facts. If they win, they'll be just the second 8 seed ever to win a national championship. But the idea that this team has been anything close to an 8 seed level team for a significant amount of time now, that's not reality.
Yeah, and Armando Bacot, by the way, said you'd have to cut my leg off for me not to play in this game. That was the other thing. Like when that happened, so you were on set in the building.
What if Adidas sent somebody to cut Armando Bacot's leg off?
Don't make it.
You don't think Adidas would do that for Kansas?
Oh gosh.
You think TJ Gasnola's never cut a leg off?
Instead of I need some real guys, it's I need some real sauce. Is that what this is now? I need some real sauce here. Gosh, you're so grotesque.
What if Adidas was like, you know what? If we're going down, you think we committed felonies last time? Watch this. And they sent somebody to New Orleans to cut off Armando Bacot's leg. It'd be wild. That would be a big story. At least admit it would be a big story.
Yeah, a little bit. If Armando Bacot's leg was cut off
by an Adidas representative,
that might be an emergency podcast situation. I got to be honest.
Not just cut off by a random, but by an Adidas representative.
Exactly. The fact that he's playing is awesome. What I was gonna say was, in the building, it felt like he wasn't coming back. On TV, did you get that sense, or was it maybe yes, maybe no?
Well, like, here's the thing that didn't make sense in the game. Okay, there's 5 minutes to go, and they're like, let's take it back to the locker room. You don't have to either. At that point, listen,
I know. It takes you 5 minutes to get back to the locker room.
And you gotta get a cup and pour your drink into a cup. Like, there's a whole lot of things going on. Like, what if Armando Bacot couldn't get back to the court because he had to pour his drink in an official NCAA cup? It'd be so ridiculous.
Who's on less sleep right now? I thought it was me.
So no, it might be me. So I'm like, listen, I've never been a trainer. In fact, I've never been trained. Either one. I've never been a trainer.
But he is a doctor.
But I am a doctor. So I don't know what goes into this stuff. But at that point, I'm like, okay, Armando, there's 5 minutes left in the game. You can either play or you can't. Just let us know. But we ain't walking all the way to the locker room. And by the way, if you can walk all the way to the locker room, how about just walk onto the court and go get a rebound? So there was a part of me that was like, it was weird because for a minute he couldn't put any weight on it for like 45 seconds. And the next thing you know, he's skipping around. I don't know what was happening, but it became clear when he went from not putting any weight on it to like walking around, seemingly mostly comfortably, that he was going to come back in the game. But yeah, listen, they might not be able to beat Kansas anyway, but they'd have a really hard time doing it without Bacot, especially considering David McCormack is Shaquille O'Neal now.
I know, man. How about that? Listen, a couple notes here on Kansas and what it's done since you brought it up. McCormack, just tremendous. And that's, we'll make our pick in a second here. We also got to talk the leaky black pick. We'll get there. But what McCormack did was, I'm not going to call it phenomenal because Villanova was shorthanded. It was a small team, but like just a huge moment. Talked to Self about McCormack on HQ after the win. He said he's had moments like this, but I did ask him if he thought it was his best performance, all things considered. He seemed to allude that it really might have been. But between that, Ochai Agbaji, we'll talk. I don't know if I mentioned this as HQ or podcast. Everything's blending together. We'll talk about this more, especially with Boone when we get closer to draft season. I need someone to convince me why Ochai Agbaji isn't a top 20 NBA pick. I love this dude's shot.
Hold on, stop there. Who's telling you he's not?
I thought a few weeks back he was like back into the 20s and stuff. Is he I
think everybody's got him in the top 20.
I need someone to tell me why no one's talking about Jabari Smith going in the top 5 of this NBA draft right now.
I need somebody to explain why Chet Holmgren's not a lottery pick.
Exactly. I haven't checked a mock in a few here. So if he's top 20, then yeah. I thought there was buzz on that. Like he wasn't.
No, he's a 6'5" athlete who can shoot. He's a top 20 pick.
I agree. And the way that he played on Saturday was awesome. They didn't need a big performance out of Remy Martin. Jalen Wilson gave him just enough there. So if you're a Kansas fan, you got to love your spot. You're back in the title game. You're just I get it. Like if you're a KU fan, you're like, it's Carolina, but we've rated better the entire season. We've had all these great teams win all these Big 12 titles. Can we just get this, first world problems on the hoop scene, but like, can we get another damn title, please? Because one of the ironic things is the fact that Kansas, it doesn't have as many national titles as UCLA or Duke or Kentucky or Carolina or Indiana. NCAA tournament titles doesn't have as many. It's got a really good shot here. We'll see if it can wind up pulling it off. I would expect the Bacot McCormack deal to maybe cancel itself out just a little. Bacot's been phenomenal. I'm looking dumber by the hour after I said with Boone on the podcast, Bacot was not a first-team All-American this year. I still don't think if we had to vote right now, it'd be tough to hold him off. Dude's had 30 double-doubles. He's been amazing.
I voted him when we did our voting this past Monday. I voted him a third team All-American.
He was my first pick on the third team, and so he ended up on the third team. But he's been amazing. The McCormack Bacot thing is fabulous.
By the way, let's be McCormack was awesome on Saturday. Bacot's a better player.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Yes. So we'll see how they offset each other. And man, Caleb Love, and RJ Davis have over the course of this season, I think they've grown into one of the most audaciously unafraid, fun combo of guards that I can remember in the past 5, 6, 7 years. They just don't have fear. Doesn't mean the ball's always going in, but both Carolina fans know exactly what I'm talking about. Like it bites them occasionally, but they won't be afraid of the moment whatsoever. Just will not happen. And you combine that with Agbaji shot making. Maybe Remy Martin thinks the moment's going to be coming for him there. Man, I'm really excited for this title game. I get your point on Duke, but I think we got a really good shot at and I also think it'll be up and down. I'll make my score pick in a second. I think we're going to get a lot of possessions. They're both going to want to run. They both can run. Kansas a little bit deeper than Carolina. We'll see if that becomes a factor or not. But this is a pretty badass title game. We don't often get two blue bloods facing each other in the last game of the season. We get two good teams frequently, but I'm talking Kentucky, Kansas, Duke, Carolina, UCLA, Villanova, Indiana, Louisville, those types. You get two of those 8. You want to throw in UConn there? Whatever. We won't get into that again. It just doesn't happen that frequently. It's not totally uncommon, but I think there's only been like 10 or 11 instances where we've had two of those schools squaring off in the last game of the season. Who are you picking?
Kansas.
Score.
Explanation.
Are you going to get it or do you want me? I'm not going to explain why you're picking Kansas. You have to do that.
That's what we should do. We should explain why you have to explain why I'm picking Kansas and I have to explain why you're picking whoever you're picking.
Yeah.
No, I think, and maybe this is nothing. Maybe you look up on Monday night and you go, yeah, it was nothing. But man, didn't it feel like North Carolina won its national championship on Saturday night?
I said this very thing. It feels like North Carolina has to win 2 national titles this weekend. Yes.
Right. Now, there is examples of a team having this massive semifinal win and then winning the next one as well. And I'm not ruling out the possibility of that. But Kansas sort of coasted into this thing. I mean, they jumped on Villanova 10-0, and they were never not in control of that game. And North Carolina had to, North Carolina come back. They were down with 61 seconds left. Then they end Coach K's career. Like, it's an all-time great moment, a forever moment. And like, can you really then come back 2 nights later and upset another team? Upset another blue blood? Yes, the answer is yes, they can do it. But I don't suspect that they will. I'll go Kansas 76, North Carolina 70.
Who's Final Four MOP? Who's the mop? You got to take into account the semis too.
Ochai Agbaji.
Agbaji, okay. I think the winner gets to 80. I think Carolina plays really well. I picked Carolina to be. It's not like I faded Carolina. I picked them to be. I picked Carolina to beat UCLA. I picked them to lose to St. Peter's. I'm aware that happened, and I think they have a wonderful shot to do this here. It'd just be an incredible deal. I also think, this is Hubert Davis's first season. They're on the 8 line.
What? Like, hold up. This is what?
Yeah, that's right.
This is Hubert Davis's first season?
That's right.
What the?
People that listen have known this.
What
point I'm making here is like, yeah, of course it means a ton. There's a title at stake. There's plenty. But what you just did to Duke, there's no guarantee you ever get back here with Hubert Davis. Could very well. You're North Carolina, man. You're in this title game. You're in this spot frequently, 12 times in your history. But it's not like you're the favorite in the game. It's not like you were expected to get here. So it is more of a house money situation. Maybe that benefits. I asked Bacot that today. I asked RJ Davis that as well. And I think there will be an element of that. UNC has made a habit of just taking people's expectations, just slamming it on the floor, throwing it, bashing it to pieces. It's been awesome. This team has been so fantastic to see evolve over the course of this tournament. And I think that Caleb Love will play well. And I expect Brady Manek to have a pretty good game. I think he'll have a better game than he had. You know what? He actually had a pretty good game defensively. I tweeted about that. He was better defensively than I think anyone thought he had any business being. And I thought that wound up being a factor as well. He had 14 against Duke. I say Brady Manek gets more than 14 in this one. I think he'll be good. But I'm going to take Kansas to win. I took him to cover on the site, so I'll take him to cover here. And give me KU 83, UNC 77. And something tells me Agbaji. If our guy Leakey's on Agbaji, I feel like he's not going to have enough game over game. It'll come from the winning team. Bacot, McCormack offsetting. This is actually kind of hard. It's like if Carolina wins, you can say, it's easily, you could see how it would be a Manek or a Caleb Love. But based off of what happened in the 81-65 win, I mean, it was Agbaji. It's got to be one of those two. All right. I'll go with McCormack. I'll say McCormack gets enough from,
wouldn't that be something?
If he won it?
He's been the most frustrating Kansas player for like a million straight years. What if he was most outstanding player, Bill Self's second national title?
It would be that's why I love the Final Four and love the title game. Again, you sometimes get those kind of stories. I'll say McCormack. He was outrageously good against Nova. He's not going to be as good. I think he'll be enough. And I'm saying this because I think Agbaji will be fine. But if Leakey's on Agbaji, I can just see a situation where if Kansas needs to win, it's got to be because everyone else helping around him. Jalen Wilson's got to play well again. Christian Brown went for 10. Can he step up? Dwan Harris has had some nice moments, obviously. And then Remy Martin only had 3 on Saturday. That'll be an interesting one to see how he plays and how they utilize him in this spot. Kansas, Carolina, national title game. I think it's pretty damn awesome. I will take Kansas to win and to somewhat narrowly cover. But I think there's a lot of options on the table here.